From Jan 1st to today, how much have you done?
790,000. There is an entrepreneurial spirit in some of us, and that fire is never going to go out. You're never going to quench that thirst, I think, until you try it. We hired you, and I'll never forget, I'm sitting upstairs in my house and I see a lead come through.
Give me 30 days. Let me put you back in the ads. And then if we don't do 30 grand, I'll refund you the full month.
My brother-in-law works for us. My mom works for us now. He could go anywhere and make a ton of money, but he comes in and he crushes it for us. He sold $320,000 last month, you know? Yeah. Lucas, there's nothing in my life that I've done that has been
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Forward Thinking Podcast. My name is Lucas Jensen, and today I am entertained by one of our clients, Ryan Ezzell, out of Nashville, Tennessee. Ryan owns Paint Pro LLC, and Ryan's an absolute crazy story. So he started in September 2023. That year, he did roughly $250,000. 2024, he did $1.5 million, and this year he's pacing for $5 million by the end of 2025. So I'm going to pick Ryan apart, pick his business apart, and just get some, lessons, learnings, success stories, hardships, things like that, and just try to provide as much value. So Ryan, dude, how you doing?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you?
Dude, best day of my life, man. Best day of my life. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see Ryan's background there. It's a nice little gold paintbrush. That's the FMMC award. That's
there.
Yeah, that's the top. That's the elite of the elite, man. Dude, how you doing, man? Tell me. So you started when you started with us, you had a 9 to 5, and then I got you to quit. I pushed you to quit, and now you're running this freaking conglomerate 7-figure business, opening up a second location, just crushing it, dude. So what's taking a step into this, like what does that feel like? Like how does that feel?
I mean, it feels as it should. It feels surreal. It feels like, I felt like, I always felt like I was behind, so I think we took a lot of drastic steps in the beginning to get here. And, but dude, it's an absolute privilege every single day. Like waking up, talking to my project manager, talking to the sales staff. It's like, dude, we're building a family. We love the brand, it's an honor, honestly.
Love that. And how did you get involved in painting? Like, because you were doing door-to-door, you were building a door-to-door team in security sales, right? Or alarm sales. And then how'd you make this transition to painting? Like why did you switch to painting?
Yeah. So we were doing commercial security sales. I did residential for a long time, door to door. But basically, I had got this great company, great opportunity. And it was a salary position with a corporate, background. And, things were going really good. But at the same time, it was, nothing against 9 to 5s or salaries, but it was we were just getting by, if I'm being honest. It was paycheck to paycheck. There was never excess, which there's nothing wrong with that. But also there is an entrepreneurial spirit in some of us, and that fire is never going to go out. You're never going to quench that thirst, I think, until you try it. So at a certain point, I had heard 5 horror stories. It was actually 3. And then I did some more research and heard 2 other horror stories in the painting industry out of nowhere within a week, within literally 5 business days. 3 really rough painting stories. One was from my old boss. And said, hey, I tried to get a painter out here to give me an estimate. It was absolutely horrible. The guy was rude, wouldn't give me what I was asking for. And I just thought, interesting. So a couple of months go by and I really start to get hungry, the spirit in me was just wanting to blossom, and we immediately start knocking doors. We basically agreed, hey, we're going to knock 1,000 doors to start our business. We're used to it. She worked at ADT, did door to door with me. It's something we're familiar with. So first job, the story, knocked on a door, $17,000 job. The customer, hey, that's a great price. was a massive historic house. And the guy brought me up to his office and said, "Hey, I'm good with the price, but I looked you up. I've only been in business for 2 days." You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So we agreed on an amount, not a 50% deposit, but a progress payment. And we knocked it out. We crushed the job for him. And basically we were off to the races. Little did he know I had never painted. I had no painters to paint. I was just trying to generate business. But God laid the foundation right out in front of us, put the stones in front of us, and we made it happen. So
you said
there,
you said the first door you knocked on turned to a $17,000 job.
It wasn't the first door I knocked on. It was the first person I talked to. She was in a hurry. She had kids in her hands. I was completely inconveniencing her, but I just very politely said, "Hey, super sorry to interrupt. My name's Ryan. I own Paint Pro. Just wonder, have you got an estimate on to paint the house? Because it looked horrible. It looked so bad, and it was a beautiful house." She said, "Oh my God, please give me an estimate. I've been bugging the crap out of my husband to do it." But there's a story behind that. It's like you will get that if you go out and knock doors 100%. If you go out and knock 100 doors, you're going to get 2 or 3 of those, or more. But anyways, so we get back. My wife and I are looking at this check like, oh my God, like we have started a business. We've completed a job. We thought this was more money than we would ever have in excess, Little did we know that was just the beginning, it was nothing. So we had done, I think, I can't even remember the exact number, maybe 60 grand or something, just knocking doors. And we quickly realized that we were not going to be able to maintain my job and go out and knock doors and generate business. So you popped up on my feed, and it felt very, ordained in a sense. I was like, man, it's so weird. Perfect timing for you. Your marketing guys are genius. And what if that worked out? That's all I could think. What if it did work out? What if I actually could pay somebody and they fill my calendar with appointments? Wouldn't that be amazing? But it was a little far-fetched. It was worth the investment for me to try. I'll tell you that much. And so that's what happened. Me and you had a call, and shortly after that, we agreed on a number. And remember, I still had my day-to-day job, that was basically paying our bills. We were allowed to take all the capital, push it right back in, and make it working capital for the company. So we hired you, and I'll never forget, I'm sitting upstairs in my house and I see a lead come through. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what if this is legit? All I could think was, what if this works out? And another one came through, 2 in one night. And I'm over like, hey, look at this. 2 appointments came through. And again, little did we know that was just the start. I think we did 50 grand that first month in September. We did 50,000 in revenue. And think about that. All I could do was run appointments after my other job. We're scheduling appointments on Saturday and after work. And man, that was a long, 6, 7, 8 months, working those 2 jobs, basically running a painting company and going to this other job every day. And I will say too, the people that I worked for were some of the best business owners I've ever worked for. I feel like God put me in that position to learn how to run a company. These guys, unbelievably efficient. They taught, but production rates before I knew what production rates were. They talked production meetings on a consistent basis, 7:00 every Friday morning. It was just an amazing place to be for someone who's aspiring to be an entrepreneur, And I have so much respect for those guys, Shane and Scott Berry. They run MCC Solutions. It was an honor to work for them. But, I've been successful at every company, and there was a little bit of resistance. It's like, man, I'm not really getting ahead like I have at all these other jobs. And then when it came down to it, when I actually left MCC, the guy was such an upstanding gentleman. He said, look, man, go start your business. I support you. He said, here's how much I support you. go give me an estimate on my house. I went $15,000 exterior, and he said, hey, I want you to paint our building too, 28,000 square feet. So just an absolute stud, gentleman, godly man. Couldn't say enough nice things about him.
And he found out that you were running a painting business while you were working there, and there was a little bit of pushback on that, right?
Yep, he did. He brought me in and said, hey, some of the, because I'm running Facebook ads. Everybody's on Facebook, So he's like, yeah, we're coming around showing me your pictures. And he respectfully, he appreciated the entrepreneurial spirit, but he did say, hey, let's not put your face in those ads. And because I'm the face of this company, right? Of his company. He's like, I can't have you be the face. Totally understood. You and I, we took our face off of it, and that was the worst 3 months ever.
Mm-hmm.
Ads went down crazy. I almost quit, forward media marketing. And another thing that I look back on, what if I would have? I can't even think about how tragic that would have been. We would have never seen what we're seeing right now. But you said, give me 1 month. I promise you. I think you shot a no number, 30 grand. If we don't do 30 grand for you this month, I'll refund your money.
Yeah, I remember that. So the ads were crushing, and then we pulled you out of the ads. We're doing like before and afters, or like regular videos, and then performance dropped because people weren't converting and cost per lead came up. And then you were like ready to pull the shoot, and I was like, dude, give me 30 days. Let me put you back in the ads, and then if we don't do 30 grand, I'll refund you the full month. And I think we did like 40 or like 50 or something like that.
It was 50.
Yeah, it was like 50 grand. And then, but the beautiful part was, all those ads kept hitting your boss. And that's when he pulled you to these offices like, Ryan, come on, man. But you ended up giving him a quote on the house and the job. And that came from a Facebook ad. So dude, I'm taking credit.
100%.
Credit.
Take it. That's all.
I'm kidding. But then at what point did you say like, because before you took the action, you have more conversations with yourself than anybody else, right? So at what point did you say like, okay, like enough is enough, I'm going to leave this job and pursue this painting opportunity here?
I could be a tough guy and say, oh dude, it was just working, and I just took the leap. It was the scariest thing I've ever done. It was there was nothing but fear leading up to this. I had hope. And the one thing that I did have is I had a bit of testimony that I could look back on and say, you have not done under $50,000 in 6 months, and back then that was a lot for us. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
That was massive for us. Also, remember, we bought a house after our first 3 months with you. We purchased a house. We had no down payment before that. We literally physically accumulated enough money to buy a home and renovate the entire thing. So, or maybe it was 4 months or something. We bought it in November. So that also was a huge testimony. But what really came down to was, my boss and I had a conversation, and he just said, dude, he didn't fire me. He said, you need to go do it. He said, you just need to go do it. I respect the decision, and it put him in a bad position. I was the leadership of a division of his company, and we had done well. He said, I'll support you. I think you should go do it. And he was right. He used to tell me, he said, just casual conversation. He said, Ryan, don't you think that you would run the best and biggest painting company in Nashville? And I used to think, man, what an awesome guy, to have that much faith in me, Yeah. So basically, he said, go out. You could run the best painting company in Nashville. And I believed him after a while, and that's what we did. We we put it all on the company, man. We put it all on the company.
Yeah. And when did you officially leave that the position at MCC?
July 4th.
July 4th. Dang, Independence Day. Really? Hey?
Yeah. That
Talking
was,
about independence, man.
yeah,
Dang.
that's exactly the plan. That was the plan, you know. On Independence Day, this is our independence. And, you know, it's a different type of fulfillment when you start something that provides for your family. Dude, it's an honor that I think is just, it's out of this world. My brother-in-law works for us. My mom works for us now. My dad is potentially going to come work for us. And these are A players. He could go anywhere and make a ton of money, but he comes in and he crushes it for us. He sold $320,000 last month, you know? Yeah. Just insanity.
What's his name?
Austin Whitmer.
Austin. Okay, cool.
Yep.
So
Yep.
Austin, when did Austin join you?
He's been with us. He started in, I think it was October, November.
October, November. Okay.
The slow-
And as of July 4th, so let's say January 1st to July 4th, when you were working, basically two jobs at the same time, right? Leading two teams, because you were like in the management side, right? Like you were building the team there. So you were leading two separate teams from Jan 1st to July 4th. Do you know offhand how much revenue you did?
It was a lot. It was probably 600.
600. And then from July 4th to December 31st, when you left it and you were just focusing on this one thing, is that when you had the remainder of that 1.5?
Yeah. We hit insane numbers. Looking at when you base off last month's number, it's like it's not insane. But for us, it was major. I think we hit in September. I don't know if you remember this. We hit like $189,000 in 1 month, which again, 50,000 was amazing for us. So these are unfathomable numbers, Yeah. So had a strong September, strong October. Even November and December were not bad for us. We were 100 plus, actually 150 plus all those months. And to your point, it was double any other month that I wasn't 100% dedicated to the business.
Yeah, because you had twice the amount of time, and
yep. And what you said came true the first month. You said, Ryan, if you quit this job and you put everything you have into this company, you're going to double your revenue. And it happened, It was hard to do, but you pushed me for a long time to bounce.
Dude, once I saw you like crushing it right out of the gates, I think it was us and myself and Grigori.
Yep.
Do you remember Grigori? So we were just pushing you like, dude, you gotta quit, bro. You gotta do it. And I remember when you first joined, you were doing calls in your office. If Ryan's old boss, Shade, if you're listening, we weren't doing this, but we were doing calls in your old office. And I remember like you were just like your boss was in the room beside you. You're like, dude, the ads are doing really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome though, man. Like I was pushing you, and even your old boss was pushing you, just because like, dude, in some people you recognize like, man, this person has a crap ton of potential. And I want you, like, I'm a big, like, dude, I'm like a cheerleader. You know what I mean? Like if I see someone that's winning, like, or that has the opportunity to win or potential to win, bro, I'm going to be pushing you harder to do that, And I'm so grateful you pulled the trigger and you laughed.
Yeah.
Cause it's just like seeing your growth now. So today we are Thursday, April 3rd, from Jan 1st to today. How much have you done
this year?
This year so far?
790,000.
790,000, and just last month you crossed 401,000 in March.
Yep.
Insane, dude. Insane, man.
Yep.
And like with all this, it's not all glamour and glitz. It's just like you're selling and then that's it. It's like there's obviously a lot of lessons and learnings and things you come along the way. But I feel in business. Sorry?
I'm so glad you're touching on this. I was hoping you would.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It's not all, highs and insane months and, extreme profitability. It's like man, you're going to mess up jobs. You're going to have unhappy clients. You're going to, get 1-star reviews. Like as you scale, like it's tough to scale and maintain everything as if you're, doing the jobs yourselves. But at different levels, you unlock different problems, right? Like the problems you face when you're doing 100,000 a month are way different than the problems you're facing at $1 million a month. And like the problems you're facing right now are way different than what you're facing when you're doing, $100,000 months. But when you're in those $100,000 months, you're like, this is the worst ever. Like, I can't believe I'm dealing with this problem. And now you're like doing 400,000 months and you're like, God, I wish those $100,000 a month problems, like that's all I dealt with, So what are the main issues, full transparency here, that you're dealing with in your business right
now? So Alex Hormozy says entrepreneurship is like jumping out off the cliff and building the airplane on your way down as you fall, right? And there's a reason that entrepreneurship, you don't start out with an amazing business. The pressure would crush you. It would crush you the first week in business. You would realize that we do on average 12 to 15 jobs per week. So imagine on the super basic scale, 15 PTAs, that's prior to arrival forms. You know how hard it is to contact 15 people and get them all to answer and give you the colors? Ordering 15 orders of paint, And this is different color ceiling, walls, trim, different sheens. There's tons of detail in these. Where do you want us to use the restroom? If you do, maybe you don't even want us to. Where do you want us to park? What doors do you want us to use? All this kind of stuff. And then the basic management of let's just say 10 jobs, 10 customers, expecting to get the customer experience that we've promised. So, it's something that we invest a ton of money on customer experience. I call it, we invest in the right things. So instead of me going out and, buying big flashy trucks and wrapping, all this kind of stuff, which companies do when they're ready, and there's no problem with that. But, we invest in our communication platforms. We try to, even like with drip jobs, we've invested thousands more in amplifying that. And all of the, man, he's a wizard. I don't even know all the stuff he does, but our customer communications are getting just more and more layered. So now we try to, every single customer at 3:00, hey, this is what we did today. This is what we plan on doing tomorrow, but even getting communication from painter to customer is a challenge, right? The problems, like you were saying, on my first job, it's like, oh my gosh, dude, it's flashing. Oh gosh. Oh no. Dude, now it's like, oh, I don't even want to get into the problems that you can run into, 10x your customer base, you 10x your problems. And I think that the number one reason people fail, other than overextending themselves and not having capital, is it's just the pressure. Mm-hmm. If we didn't put people in place on and grow and put other people, I call them problem solvers. If we didn't put problem solvers in place almost at a monthly basis now, it seems like we're hiring somebody else for another role, the pressure would crush any one person that's trying to do it. If we have 8 a day, that's typically, I would say 4 or 5 of those, the sales rep is going to call you for questions, right? So it's, hey, what do you think about this? Look at this picture. What would you price this at? And then it goes all the way up the line. The project manager has questions. Hey man, I'm over here at this job. This customer's saying this, they want a change order. Dude, you have to be on a different level of pressurization, It's and Joel, he's always like, dude, like, are you sure you want to take this extra step? He's like, 400,000 a month is a different world of problems. And again, I feel like God put me through a bunch of really hard things. So now little things don't really seem that big. Thank God.
Yeah.
But the problems are, I don't even look at them as problems anymore. It's just something else we got to take care of, If somebody calls me and they're freaking out, hey man, what do we got to do to fix? Who cares what the problem is? I really don't even care. Tell me what it is very, very quickly, and then let's just figure out the solution. Period. Customer experience is 100% priority. So whatever needs to happen to put that up here, that's what's going to happen. If the customer's mad, they feel like we did them wrong, and I need to refund money, that's what's going to happen, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, dude, same thing. Like mistakes happen, and I respect mistakes, but I don't respect liars or people that lie to cover something up, right? And, in every business, you will have mistakes, right? For example, in our company, we've overspent on ads, right? Someone gives us $1,000 budget, we spend $1,200. Even though there's leads, we're like, hey, this is on us. Here's a refund. It's just that level of accountability and ownership makes a huge difference. And like you said, customer experience first, right? So, what would you say then is the main bottleneck for you in scaling to $1 million months?
The biggest bottleneck is, honestly, I feel like we could get there. I don't feel like it's that. It doesn't seem like an impossible feat to me.
No, I know you can get there. Dude, yeah. I know you're going to get there. It's just a matter of time.
It sounds crazy, but we really will, because once we do what we have done up to this point, again, spent the right money at the right places, hired the right people to train us on the things that we are ignorant to, it doesn't really seem that hard. I think that the bottleneck is top level communication. The person that I need to hire is a COO, a chief operations. I need someone who can look at jobs 3 weeks out and start planning, I think that the more that you streamline in advance, the less it's just like at that point, we're stocking the shelves,
Mm-hmm.
The paint walk in, they have all the paint they need for this job. You take it off the shelf, you hit the job, and then SOPs on the job. It's like, hey, let's get in here, immediately pull everything to the center of the room, cover everything with paper, drape everything with plastic. Let's get the fans covered. Let's take the plates off, throw them in soapy water, just start really dialing in SOPs on site.
Love it. And what were some of your milestones, right? Like, there's things like 50K months, 100K months, 250K months, things like that. Like in your mind, what were certain milestones that you hit that, gave you fulfillment? Like, wow, like this is super cool. That level of achievement,
Dude, I can't even tell you how big 100,000 was for us.
Crossing that 6-figure month.
I don't know if you remember this, but we thought 100,000 a year would be a success. I came to you and I said, man, if we can do 100,000 this year, that'll be a great year, and at this point, I wouldn't even tell you, Ryan, where do you want to be? I don't know. Let's see where God takes us. Let's see how high he wants us to go. Because honestly, man, I'll go as high as I possibly can. But I think that was a huge milestone. When we hit $1 million in revenue, that was unbelievable. Me and my wife cried just like in absolute gratitude. And then 1.5, obviously that was unbelievable, And then two was, it's like, you can't even believe what's happening,
Dude. So I'm looking, so you remember when we first onboarded and we sent you like a questionnaire and it said like, what are some of your goals?
Yeah.
I'm looking at those right now. Okay. So this was submitted the 23rd of August, 2023. Okay. It says, what is your 6-month revenue goal? You know what you put?
I have no idea.
$60,000.
Wow.
It says, how about your 12-month goal? You put $200,000. And it says, and lastly, what is your 3-year goal? You put 1 million. Dude, you're going to be doing 5 million in less than 3.
Yep. It's insane. And one other good thing to touch on is like, people think of millions and they think that that's profit, but what we're doing is it's probably the most aggressive road you could take um, to building the business to a $5 million, $10 million. If we would slow down and take a step back, we would make way more money. I mean, I think it's really important. These numbers, it's 100%. Who that money is coming to dictates how it's going to go. It's like some people would sit back and say, I'm looking for 50% profit margins, or I'm looking for a $5 million company in 5 years. So we are looking to build a really big company that provides a ton of opportunity for a lot of people. And eventually, I would love to have opportunities for my family and my friends that we wouldn't have had outside this company. Nothing that I'm doing within this company is for me. Now, not to say that I don't reap the rewards and I don't feel the gratitude and I'm proud of what we're doing, but to be able to pass the company on to my son and my sister and brother-in-law's kids, to have something that we pass along and, retire my parents early or whatever it may be.
So have you uncovered your why?
I just told you, man.
Retire your
100%.
parents.
100%. All the things that, if I'm being 100% honest, I was a liability for many years on my family, on the people around me. I want to be the asset. I want to be the one who provides value and long-term benefit instead of the one who is, like I said, is a liability,
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And best way for you that you recognize to do that is by building this business that can support all that and support their dreams and what they want. And
yeah. But outside of that, dude, I mean, building a business where you don't have to do everything at all times, like I have a sales manager, sales guy, or sales estimator, project manager, appointments. We have office admin. So to be available is awesome. Like if my dad needs me, he calls me, I'm there.
Mhm.
If somebody needs something, I can be available. I think being available, your time is everything. That's your monetary value to others.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's today's most expensive currency is time,
100%.
and
Yep.
I know you train midday because you're like, I was asking you why, and you're like, because it feels like I shouldn't be, because
Yep.
you have that availability, you have that freedom of like, I have all this running in the back end and I'm able to take, man, I mean, you're Jack, you probably spend like freaking 8 hours at the gym, but you take the time to like go train, like it's incredible, dude. And
10 o'clock every day, we meet at the gym. The sales guys, me, anybody who will come. So I pay for the memberships. We set early morning appointments. We take time, usually 10 to 12. We work out, then we do our afternoon appointments and afternoon tasks.
damn, man, I love that. I love that because it's team building, but also when they leave there, they're going to be so much more productive when they train and they get that blood flowing. Like they'll feel good. Their freaking creative juices are flowing. Like, yeah, I love that, dude. And
Yep.
like the one thing about business, man, and the one thing about entrepreneurship is you're always focused on what's next, and you never really stop to turn around and look like, man, look how far we come. And I think it's that slowing down aspect, not on the sales side, not on all that, but just like mentally slowing down and looking like, dude, we did all that. We produced all those homes. We got all those 5 stars. We did all this. Like we hired all these people. Like it's a freaking beautiful thing, man. And I want you to take time and recognize that because I know you're a hustler. I know you got that dog in you, but like you should be freaking proud, dude. Seriously.
We if I'm being honest, I don't even like to hear it. I don't like to think about it. I don't like for people to say, "Oh my God, you've done amazing." I don't want to hear it. You're absolutely right. I should. But right now, I want to see how high we can go carefully, cautiously, strategically. And you're right. You're right. We absolutely should. We're hitting numbers that, we shouldn't be hitting right now.
Yeah. But dude, like proud but never satisfied is like the name of the game, and a year from now, we're going to be watching this and we're going to be like, damn, dude, like 400K, I was hyping you up, bro. You're doing like $1 million now, man. Like it's just going to be wild, bro. But it is good to take, something that I do is on my birthday every single year, I record 5 to 10 minute video about explaining where I'm at financially, relationship wise, physically, where am I living, whatever. And then it's kind of like a time capsule. I call them time capsules. And I rewatch the previous years and then film a new one. And it's just crazy to see the level of growth. Like, man, I'm doing this amount per month. I'm dealing with this issue, that issue. I'm dating this person, whatever. And you go back and you're like, man, that's crazy. Fuck, like that was the biggest issue. Like, I wish I had that. It gives you this level of gratitude. But on the contrary, the point you're saying is you don't want to hear that, and you want to hang out with people that make your dreams look small. And surrounding yourself with people that's like, oh, dude, like 400K, I couldn't even, open my doors with 400K, and you just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. So where are you going to tap into that network to find that?
So we are in that network. We work out at a place called Lifetime, and it is a really expensive membership, but you are around typically very high net worth individuals. The parking lot is G-Wagons and Ferraris and Lamborghinis. And we all wear Paint Pro in there. We wear our Paint Pro hats. Our shirts are like kind of like workout shirts. And we are in there daily talking with people that are very successful. I had a guy come up to me the other day. He said, "You own a painting company?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I used to own a painting company." He said, "That's how I started everything." And I was like, "Oh, awesome. What's everything?" He owned Primal Kitchen. So it was one of the biggest organic lifestyle seasonings and stuff. He sold it to Heinz for $200 million.
200 million?
Yeah. Now he owns Beluga shoes. They're like, they're super cool. Like, shout out to Beluga. They're different kind of shoes that are like kind of 5-toed. But yeah, this guy started out in painting and he has just skyrocketed into oblivion, So man, it's so awesome to connect with people in there. And, you see the people that you aspire to be like: humble, very willing to help, ready to pull you aside and say, hey, you should think about, investing in properties, or I'm in commercial real estate. It's a really sound business to be, just different types of, life experiences they have.
Yeah. Tax loopholes. I love those.
Tax loopholes.
And for anyone that doesn't have a gym like that, 'cause that's crazy, dude. I wish I had a gym like that. But anybody who doesn't have a gym like that, how would you recommend them getting into those networks where they have people that basically are where they want to be in terms of revenue or growth or freedom or like different sections?
It's where would they go? That's all you'd have to ask. Where would someone like that go? Well, they're going to do exactly what you said. Why do you go to the gym in the middle of the day? Because I shouldn't. Where are they going to be? They're going to be at really expensive restaurants in the middle of the day, like spending way too much money on just a lunch, just because it's a Tuesday. And I do that too sometimes, and I meet people in there. So I think it's all about, where will those people go? Donald Trump tells a story about he knew this guy that flew first class everywhere he went. Couldn't afford it. He overextended himself. This guy flew first class everywhere. First off, it made him feel the way he wanted. It projected him the way he wanted to be one day. Also, it put him around people that he aspired to be and to get there. I thought that was a great story.
I love that. Do you fly first class?
No. No, I don't want to fly anywhere, honestly. I think that if you joined a gym, the nicest gym in your area, that is the best place to start. Your sauna conversations can be $1 million deals. And that's not exaggerated at all.
Yeah. So break me down, because you did just under 800,000 this year. What's the lead sources been like for you? Obviously Facebook with us, right? How much are we spending? 15,000 a month?
Yeah.
15,000 a month on Facebook. You have Google going with PPC ads, LSAs. What else you got?
we do a little bit of um, Yelp, very
Yep.
like $1,500 a month. We don't get much at all. We do that because it links you really high and sets you up really high on your SEO search. So if you look up painter near me, it pops up on Yelp, and our name is a lot of times up there high. Google has been awesome. I think we've done about 130,000 this year. We just started in January. Um, you know, you said whenever we first started, Ryan, I'm going to make you locally famous. That's my job. I have people come up and say, "Oh, you're that painting family in Costco." Today, I had a guy come up to me while I'm eating in Chipotle and say, "Are you Ryan Ezzell?" He showed me his at the gym. People say it all the time. I've gotten tons of business from high net worth people that we want to do business with. They see me on Facebook. Then once we do a great job, we're now reaping the reward of last year's customer calling it back for new products this year. Customers that are maybe taking the Dave Ramsey approach to life and not biting off more than they can chew. I've had one customer have us back to paint almost every room in her house one at a time. So now we have job minimums. It makes us a little bit harder, but still we want to take care of those past customers. So we have had, we've only been in business for not even 2 years. We've had people have us out 3 times now. So I value that a lot.
So what's your process for getting the repeat customers? Are they coming to you, or do you have like strategies to go to them?
No, not yet. We don't have any strategies. They're just calling us back, which, they dealt with me the first time. And the hardest part is passing off that torch to someone else, It's like they're expecting me to come back. That's why I value having my brother Austin in this thing. I know when he goes out there, he's going to treat him the same. Get someone that is super high level, that, it has experience, and pay a salesperson that is going to represent your company, pay them very well,
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, I mean, Andy Elliott, he pays his sales reps sometimes 30% on deals. 30%. And his mindset is, find someone who's going to pay him more. Right? Like it's like you pay them well, you treat them well, you make sure that they can lead and grow within their thing. They won't leave you. And even if they do, it's like, awesome. You did your job as a leader, which is to build leaders, right? If they left you, awesome. Sucks, but awesome. And that's just business at the end of the day. So
100%.
Yeah. A good idea for getting repeat customers that I've seen is Christmas cards, like pre-booking for the new year with Christmas cards. What you do is print out a nice picture of your family on there, right? You want to instill more of like that family-owned business. Send them like, "Dear XYZ, wishing you a Merry Christmas." Get your assistant to do it. Or you could buy a machine that actually writes it out for you. Just type what you want and then it will write it out for you and make it look like it's handwriting. You don't want to get it typed out all and then sent out, because people are just going to throw out if something's printed. They're more likely to hold something that's handwritten. And you can get people like for 2026 booking in 2025, so stay top of mind, reactivate client, nice gesture as well. If they don't book, it's still an amazing gesture. That's a simple one that I think you should implement in like November, December area.
Yeah. It's amazing how much a customer too appreciates a text, and I do it all the time, but it's just something that reminds me of that person. And you'll just shoot them like, "Hey, a picture." I bought a bunch of Liquid Death cans of soda.
Water or something, right? I've heard of that. Yeah.
And this customer, we've done so much work for him. I took a picture of him. I was like, "Hey, I'm giving it a shot." We had a conversation for probably 5 or 10 minutes via text. But, a customer likes to know, hey, you're still a human outside of that business. So I like to, send people. I got one guy I'll send fishing stuff to. And, I think that's really healthy too. Take that human approach to things,
Relationships, dude. That's literally what it's built on, man.
Yep.
Love that. So if someone was, trying to get from 100K to 400K, or even 50K to 100K, and they're listening to this, what strategies, what ideas, like what would you tell them? What would you tell your younger self help you get there?
This is where I'll be super honest. I would tell them that it is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done mentally. Everything is mental. Dude, full transparency, there have been times where I have kind of reached like a mental breaking point, like where I was like, holy crap, I really don't know if I can take anything more today. I don't know if I can handle one more thing. Problems come in series, bro. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like a bad episode, but it's always good to remember there's another episode after this. Maybe sometimes it's good to just call today quits, turn your phone off, and wait for tomorrow. But what I would say is it is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done mentally. You have to find something that is going to occupy your mental or exhaust yourself mentally, like working out, in order to kind of handle the rest of the day. You're going to work 7 days a week. You're going to do it for a long time, longer than you probably anticipate. But once you get to put a project manager in place, your life changes, right? It almost seems like 50% of your workload goes away. And then you build and you grind and you hustle. And then you hire a salesperson and you're like, wow, you're almost like orchestrating. And then when things come together, you can start focusing on, okay, what does the business need right now? How do we make our customer experience better? And you can hire an office admin, or maybe you should do that earlier on. I'm not saying this is the order, but once you start to do those things, you can be the owner that shows up on the job and he's not there to call the shots. He's not there to do any of that. He's there to be of service. Hey, anything you need me to do? And better than that, talk to the customer. But dude, it's hard, man. These past 2 years have been, it seemed like it's been 10 years. And if I wouldn't have a wife that was so supportive, it could cause a lot of, issues. But, she's been amazing through all this. She's been super supportive and it's paying off,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard. But then you build it and then you buy your freedom back and you can start to focus on higher level things. And that's how you grow it, I would say as soon as you can, you should start investing in marketing. That was the real game changer in our business,
Yeah. Love that, dude. And last question here. If you had to do it all over again, what is one thing that you would do differently?
If I had to do it all over again, here's one thing. I would have set up processes much earlier. Someone asked me, how are you getting paid? You're getting paid via my payroll system. I'm not sending you Zelle, Venmo. I don't want you calling, texting all the time. This is mainly for subcontractors. We pay all of our W-2 guys on payroll. I would have set that up earlier. And I also would have set up from day one proper structuring. I want 3 subs or however many. I have 35% allocated to labor, 15% allocated to materials, and 50% profit. And I would have shopped those 3 subs and made it fit into my budget instead of vice versa. Maybe they say, no, I can't do it for 35%. Well, now you're forcing my hand to go to 40%. Because what people don't understand is like sometimes I have to break this down to my subs, to my office admin, to my project manager. I say, this is the importance of 50% gross profit. You think that I'm being greedy, but you don't understand what it takes, how much it takes to acquire this customer, how much it takes to pay you guys to market and find this customer, and then the operating costs, insurance. If you work on a ladder, it can be 15 grand a month for insurance, So there are things that it's very expensive to run a business, especially on a high level, So setting up those hard lines in the sand right from the beginning and no negotiations.
Yeah. And well, I know I said that was my last one, but one last one. Has it been worth it?
Lucas, there's nothing in my life that I've done that has been this fulfilling. And I shouldn't have to say, except for the birth of my kids, we all know that's a different type of fulfillment. That is a lifelong fulfillment. No one could ever fulfill my kids' position in my life. But this has been the most rewarding, fulfilling thing of my life. The only fear that I have at night when I lay down is the fear of what if I never did it? What if I never even tried? Like, what if my wife would have never said, just get the LLC, just start? What if I would have never met? It's like, dude, my only fear is one that it's not real anymore. But that's my biggest fear. What if I never even tried?
I love that, dude. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, you are such a crusher, bro. And I can't wait to see, where you're going to be this time next year, this time 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Like, man, you're going to be selling that business for the 200 million, just like the guy in the gym, bro. It's incredible, dude. I'm proud of you, bro, and can't wait to see how far you take this thing.
I appreciate it, brother. You have been an amazing, I call you a partner. You've been an amazing partner in this venture, a friend and a motivator, a coach. It's been amazing to grow alongside you.
Bro, right back at you, man. Right back at you. Let's take over, brother.
Yep. Amen, brother.
Thank you for today, man. Appreciate you.
All right, brother.